Hello and welcome to the Groupanizer channel. Do you want to learn how to save thousands of dollars on selling tickets for your group and to avoid a bunch of pitfalls that you might have fallen into in the past? Stay tuned and I will tell you exactly what to do. Okay, let's get right into it. One of the first criteria that people really care about when they're talking about ticket sales is cost. And so let's take a quick look at how that all lines up. As it turns out, people don't feel the pain of this because a lot of these ticketing services that they might be using just simply take a cut. And so they get a big check, but it's important to pay attention to how much money you're actually paying. So I've picked some popular ticket vendors to see how that would line up for a number of different groups. So along the bottom, you'll see here, hopefully you can see my cursor, that we've got a small group that sells 500 tickets times $20 in a year, and a medium group, 2,000 tickets at $25, and a really big group, for the sake of argument, 10,000 tickets at $50 and gross sales. So how does this work out for Eventbrite Standard? It's 79 cents per ticket. This is all in US dollars, although of course it may differ in your jurisdiction. And the percent per ticket is 2%. And so you've got your fixed, your variable costs, your total, and just at the end of the day, we wind up with spending about 6% for a small group, about 5%, a little more than 5% for a medium group, and about 4% for a large group. And that comes to something between $600 and $18,000, depending on which kind of group you're in. So moving right along, we have Eventbrite Pro. So how does that line up? Well, it's a little more expensive, $1.59 per ticket plus 3.5%. And so skipping to the numbers, small group, we're talking about 11.5%. Medium group, we're looking at almost 10%. And then almost 7% for a large group. And so something between $1,100 and $33,000. I realize now I might have picked a kind of a large group for that large category. And then we have another formerly popular example, may they rest in peace, brown paper tickets. We'll get into that as well later. So their fixed costs would be 99 cents a ticket and 3.5%. And so the numbers shake out like this. For a small group, we're looking at about 8.5, and we have 7.5, and we have 5.5. So those are our ratios. Now, if you sold tickets with Groupanizer or Choir Genius or any of the Groupanizer products, because they would all be approximately the same, the fixed price per ticket and the percent per ticket are both zero, because we don't charge for that. You can sell as many tickets as you want on our platform, and all you're going to pay is the subscription fee. So what does that come to? Well, we chose $480 here because basically the standard edition is $480 and the premium edition is $960. So to get ticketing, if you already have standard, it's $480. You could argue that if somebody wanted to use our platform just for tickets, which would be weird because it does a lot, then the right value would be to use $960 here, and of course then things would change. You could also argue that the right value in that total column is zero if you already are a subscriber of Choir Genius and you were getting enough value out of the system already. So the percent's going to go from under 5 for a small group to under 0.1% or 1/1000th of your revenue for a very large group. And so putting that visually, we have about like this. So for your 500 ticket group, we've got anything like this, and that we're the least expensive option by a little bit. And then for a medium-sized group, we're the least expensive by a mile. And for a large group, percentage-wise and in terms of just gross cash, we're kind of a rounding error. So for a lot of groups, it's going to make sense to do it this way, at least from a cost perspective. So on the other hand, we do replace all of these other tools. So one could argue that the right value to stick in that cost column for the tickets is zero. I believe the future is in integrated systems, as they say, and we have one of those. So all of these tools you may or may not be using that may or may not be costing you some money, you can replace them with Groupanizer or Choir Genius. Let's talk about some other aspects here. Payout risk, not something you tend to think about when you engage with one of these ticketing systems, but here's how it works, right? Your people would buy the tickets, and it goes through a payment provider like Stripe or PayPal. typically to an outside ticket service bank account, right? So the Eventbrite bank account, the Brown Paper Tickets bank account. And then at the end of the day, when your show is over and everything is done, they pay you whatever you're owed minus their cut, right? Which is where that fee that we were talking about comes in. And that goes to your bank account. However, there are some reasons that your payout could be delayed or not come at all. So for example, if your event hasn't happened yet, you're not getting any money. They have to wait until it happens, and then later they pay you. So if you've been selling tickets for months, they're holding on to your money for months, right? And they've got that big float and they're making interest on that, one would think. Could be your account is misconfigured. I actually, for fun, went to the Eventbrite website and said, why hasn't my money come yet? And there's a long page with about 9 different reasons why you might not have been paid. So it's interesting. You can do your own research on that one. Ticket service cash flow is another one. I know on many occasions, certain ticket vendor companies didn't have the money to pay people until something else happened in their world. And so, sorry, you can't have your money. And then the obvious other one is that they go out of business entirely, like Brown Paper Tickets did, leaving a bunch of groups in the lurch, never being paid at all. So that's going to take a big chunk out of your budget. The pay flow for a Groupanizer-based system is much simpler. It goes people buy tickets, it goes to the payment provider, and then immediately goes straight to your bank account. So some nice things about that. You get your funds when the purchase happens, not after your event. So again, that float and that interest accumulates to you and not to somebody else. And there's no risk of late or non-payment because, again, you get your money right away. So that's nice. Another aspect of this is what I'm going to call data ownership. What about all that transactional data? Who owns that and what are they allowed to do with it? Well, if you're using a third-party vendor, I would read the fine print on that contract. I know nobody ever does that, but it probably would be not a bad idea to do so because all of this information, demographic and payment and purchase history, and even a lot of information about your group itself is sitting over there on that third-party vendor. And what are they allowed to do with it? Again, read the fine print. I'm not sure. With our system, you own the data. We are never going to do anything with your data, and you can read our terms of service on Groupanizer.com to see exactly what the fine print is there. But there's no privacy risk. And in fact, it's worth mentioning that unlike a lot of all-in-one systems, if you have one of our systems, you have a private database. Nobody else's data is even in there. So it's impossible for a coding error or some other kind of problem to cause leakage of your data into anybody else's space and vice versa. And if you're, if you're the kind of person who cares about that sort of thing, that kind of risk, you might want to inspect, you want to ask your current vendor if you have an all-in-one Choir system, if that's what they do. And at the end of the day, actually using third-party data, so let's say you use Eventbrite and you sell tickets, and then after the event, you get part of your money, and you can also download the transactions. What do you actually do with them, right? How do you hook them up to the rest of your data to make them useful? Well, you download the ticket purchase data, you clean it up, making sure the keys and the format are all matching, you import them manually or manually enter them into whatever you're using, and then you connect it up so that the transaction is connected to the person so you can do something useful. That sounds like a lot of work, and it is. It would be a ton of work to do that and to keep that up to date. The difference being that in our system it would already be up to date because as soon as the purchase is made, it's very clear who made the purchase. And so you can see that history. Ultimately, you'll be able to see that history on each of your people, whether they are members or whether they are members of your community who just buy stuff through your store. Let's talk about ease of use besides that whole data integration piece that we just covered. How easy is it to do it in each of these systems? Well, there's never going to be anything easier than using an integrated system for this kind of thing. And that's why it takes literally 60 seconds, and I will show you in a minute, in a minute, 60 seconds to set up a ticket once you have an event in our system. And then you can use our system to market to your potential buyers, like straight from the inside of the system, not needing to engage a third party like, I don't know, MailChimp or Constant Contact. And then the ticket buyers, when they buy a ticket, they get a QR code. They bring the QR code to the show and you check them in with a little scanner, beep. Now they're in, or if they forget their QR code, you can type out their name or whatever you like. There's fallbacks in case that doesn't go, but 9 times out of 10, maybe more, you can just beep them in with your QR code reader and they can go sit down. And then, again, the data is available immediately as soon as that happens, and you can gain insight from looking at our ticketing reports or at the history of each account. All right, so let's skip over to the actual site, and I'll just tell you how this would work. This is the administrative view, but let's just keep it simple. So we'll go to Calendar and Events. We'll add an event. We'll call it, I don't know, Big Show. Big Show 1, 2, 3. I think we've already got a big show in there somewhere. And we'll put it on a particular date. Let's call it often a Saturday. So it'll be on a Saturday. And matinee, so 2 until, let's say, 4:30. Make it 5. So 2 to 5, 3-hour show. Not going to repeat. We'll put in some notes typically. There might be an online link because, again, I think people are going to be more and more doing hybrid in-person and online events. That's a whole separate video we could do about that. I think it's going to be the future post-COVID. And of course, the event can have a location, but let's get down to what you really want to see. You might want to expose it to the public, which will put it right in your public website with that one checkbox. You can invite people, you can do volunteers, you can do time slots, but you don't have to do any of that to make this work. Well, what we will do is we'll say that all accounts can see it on their calendar. We'll do that. All right. So we'll save that. We will then go to our store, and we will add a product. Da, 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 da. And the product type will be tickets, and the product type you choose creates a lot of automation that saves you a ton of time. So this is going to be tickets to the ticketed event. Actually, it's called tickets to the big show. And we'll pick that show. Da, 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 da. What did I call it? Big show. Here we go. Yeah, 2 o'clock. That's that matinee. You can put it in a category. You can give it an image. You can give it a description. This is what you want to see. That'll be on your storefront. You enable it for sale. You can feature it at the top of the storefront. That's probably a good idea. You can add tax. You can allow people to buy things with cash or checks in person and then hand them their tickets, but you don't have to. And then you can make multiple versions. So just for fun, we'll make one general admission and one premium tickets. So this is going to be, all seats are great in this venue, and these are the front row seats. Very, very nice. And these ones will be $25, and these ones will be $35, just for fun. And the venue seats 450 people, so we'll say 410 happen to be the general admission, which leaves 40 in the front row that are a little more expensive. How are we going to track the stock? Yes, we're going to track it by each version separately. So when we run out of front row seats, we'll stop selling those tickets that we then will not have in stock. We'll save that. And then what anybody would wind up doing is going to your website. They would see the storefront, probably a version of this that is branded differently because it would be on your public website, not internal. We'd click here and we'd see, I see, here's the tickets. I didn't put a pretty picture in. Here's the event information, date and time. I can add to my cart. Let's say I don't feel like premium tickets today, so I'll just add 2 that are general admission, and I'll check them out. Do I want to have this added to my checkout? No, this is where you would put your maybe donation idea. Skip that. Who's the ticket for? This one is for Metzger, that's me. And this one will be for my sister. How about that? Donya Metzger. We're going to go to the show together. And we'll submit that. I have a couple of saved cards, but I want to use my black card. Yeah, that's what I'm buying. Submit the order. All right. So at this point, I will get the thank you page, and I will get an email that will have my QR code. And later on, when the show starts, you would go to Calendar Events and go to Ticketed Check-in. It's a little bit too far in the future, so if I click... well, there's a different one. So apparently we're selling tickets to this regular rehearsal, and this is where you would use your scanner to beep people in. Okay? So that's it. And that's it. And you go to reports, and you would take a look at some of the ticketing reports and gain some insights from that. And so end-to-end system works really well. That's it. I'd love to get your feedback about what you think of this. But I will tell you some of the future things we want to add. We're going in the direction with this product of having a really full-featured CRM. And so your history for each account, again, whether a member or whether a member of your community, because we do not charge by the size of the database, will have a history including everything they attended, were they ever a member, all the feedback they gave you, what did they buy, what did they attend, kind of everything. And then in our upcoming CRM system, you'll be able to use that to target them with marketing messages or whatever you like. Because again, we do email marketing too. Then we're going to add a really interesting, cool feature for some groups who incentivize their members to sell things like tickets, and saying we're going to track all the referrals. And so each member will have a URL they can send out to their friends and family. That'll become a report, as you can imagine. And then one cool thing we're not doing now, but we could do later, would be to have venue maps and numbered tickets, kind of like Ticketmaster style. That would be the big time for us. So we may do that. And I'd love to hear your opinion about which of these features you would love to see added, which one would be important to you. And did I miss anything in this video? Put it in the comments below, and we will endeavor to get back to every single person who comments. So that's it. Thank you so much. Please come visit us at choirgenius.com and at groupinizer.com. And take a look at our systems and provide us some feedback. We're super excited about what we've built in the last couple of years. We hope you are too. I think it's going to be great, and we'd love to talk to you. Have a lovely day.